I now, because now when I get in a situation where I'm like, oh, oh man, this year I'm doing this show Scorpion that I created, and it's always, you get, when you're a writer, you get the developed by credit or the created by credit. It's a little bit of bullshit. You got hundreds of people making this show so for someone to say I created it, I wrote the pilot and pitched the show and wrote the pilot, but there's hundreds of good people making this show happen. But that being said, it's a first year show. It's insane hours. 19-hour days. I had one day a couple of weeks ago where I probably slept 3 hours one night, got up on a Friday, worked all day Friday, till about 5, 6 o'clock at night. We started filming on 6 o'clock at night, went till about 7 o'clock the next morning, Saturday morning, raced home, got my kids, went to their soccer games. They had 2 games back to back, took them to a birthday party. I went 40 hours without sleeping after like a full day's work, and it was, it was exhausting. That's what it's like. But when I start feeling bad for myself, like you were saying, it's good that I went through it, because I can say I got nothing to complain about. I'm doing what I love. Some days are hard. It's not nearly as hard as being in Afghanistan with a gun. It's not nearly as hard as what my dad did for a living. My dad walked up and down scaffolds in New York City winters, sheetrock knives cutting through his hand, breaking his back, doing all this shit. I get to sit in a nice air-conditioned office and make up stories. I am blessed. I am happy. I got a wonderful family. And the reason I think I appreciate some of it is I spent years doing something that I hated because I wasn't meant to do it.
Now you know what it feels like.
And I know what it feels like to be unhappy. And you know what? Even then, I was being a little bitch because I had nothing to be unhappy about then either. I was making money. I was feeding my family. I got nothing ever in my life to be unhappy about. But I wasn't meant to be a lawyer. I always wanted to be a writer. I'm happy with what I'm doing now. I'm very fortunate. I'm the luckiest guy you guys will talk to ever.
It's funny that you spoke about slip and fall. How interesting. Like now I need to read the script because I want to laugh.
Well, you know what's funny?
I want to fucking laugh because I tell Lee all the time, when I was in high school, there was a guy, Cy Lawrence. And all this guy did, he went around.
He was a flopper.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had pants. He had pants that had pee stains in them. You couldn't sit next to him. He smelled. He lived in a garage. And this guy, throughout the year, he was a genius. What this guy did, he couldn't tell you on paper, but he was a degenerate gambler.
Right.
So USC would call this guy. Like, he knew all these coaches, and they'd go, we'll pay you. These are like secret scouts, and break down Pittsburgh. We're playing them in a month.
Oh, he's really good at it, right?
Cy was a genius.
Okay.
Cy was a genius. But in the offseason, Cy set up, so he kept bugging me for years. Joey, I know you make a scam. All I want is $400. He had 50 guys paying him $400. He took you to a supermarket. He dropped the pickle juice on the floor.
You flop.
You'd slip, and he'd tell you, as soon as somebody comes to you, the key words are, did I pass out? That's the money right there. Because then we're going to put you on an ambulance. I swear to God.
You have to go through it, because he's gone through it, like, each step, and then he's
oh, my God. We talk about it every day.
Yeah, and the other thing that you do is you tell the client, is what you say is, listen, and this was because what I did is I took Slip and Fall, I turned it into a novel. It was a national bestseller called Slip and Fall. That's what you should read. And I took the screenplay, turned it into a novel, because I wanted to explore it even more and really get into it. And you'll love it. It's set in Brooklyn, and it's nice. And there's a scene in it where the lawyer is prepping his client for deposition, and he says, listen, I can't tell you to lie. I would never tell you to lie. That would be against the law. I'm just going to tell you what the law is, and you apply your facts to that law. If you say during the deposition that you walked into the supermarket and slipped on the pickle juice and fell down and got hurt, but you had just entered the supermarket, you have no case, because you can't prove how long it was on the floor. And then the supermarket doesn't have what the law calls actual or constructive notice. But if you're telling me you walked into the supermarket, passed the pickle juice, noticed it, went and got your cereal, your milk, your eggs, your oranges, then when you were walking back to the cash register about 20 minutes later, you slipped on the pickle juice, which you rightfully assumed would have been cleaned up by then, so you weren't looking for it, and got hurt. Well, then you've got a $100,000 case. So now, tell me the truth of what happened. And you know what? Amazingly, no client ever told me that they hadn't seen the pickle juice first. And 20 minutes hadn't passed. And that's why I fucking hated myself.
Fucking amazing. And then he had other attorneys that would tell you if you broke an arm, you got 50,000. If you broke a leg, you got 100,000.
Yeah.
If you slipped and broke your hip, like if you really broke it. So they would look for people who were just at homes already recovering and make up a story. I mean, it was fucking, this is what he did every day.
Yeah,
he did this every day, every side.
You had people who get, they never had a homeowner's policy, and then they'll get a homeowner's policy, and they'll talk to their friend down the street and say, come over to my house for some coffee. And when you leave, you're going to say you slipped and fell on the ice on my stoop. And I'm going to say that it was icy. I poured down some rock salt. It melted it, but I didn't push the water off, so it created a clear ice, which was more dangerous because you can't see it. So I created a dangerous condition. You'll say you fell. You'll say your back hurt. I know a chiropractor. You take an MRI. There's a line in my book, Slip and Fall, where the guy with a crooked chiropractor says, MRIs are like those ink blot tests. Some people see a butterfly. Some people see their mom with an ice pick in their back. Either way, you see what you see. He'll say you have a bad disc, and we'll get some money. And that's what would happen. And I'd have these clients, and I'd know they were lying about it, but they would always say they were telling the truth. Just so happened that their good friend from down the street happened to slip in their house. And the guy who owned the house would say, yeah, it's my fault. And what happens? He loses his home insurance policy. He didn't want it to begin with. So his friend gets $100,000. The lawyer takes $33,000. The friend gets $66,000. And the friend then kicks him back $25,000. And by the way, it's all tax-free money. You don't get taxed on personal injury money.
I'm going to throw you down the stairs tonight, Lee.
But you know what? These people, I'm telling you, that's why I don't have my license in California. I don't do this stuff anymore. I'm not involved because the truth is eventually, and that doesn't take that long, 99.9% of these people get caught. They get caught, and there's no good in it.
I knew a kid in Jersey when I was growing up that got hurt. Not a good friend, just I heard the story, got hurt, and took some time off, and he worked for like a big trucking firm. He was a big shot there, and he took time off. He was suing the trucking firm or something. Went to the deposition. They awarded him the money. And that day, he was dancing in a club in the city, and they took pictures of him. He lost the case. They said he had blow. He was on a table.
Yeah.
And they did it recently in New York. A bunch of people, the fire guys that wanted disability.
There's a lot of these guys. They follow him with video.
Yep, and they got him on a boat. The guy hadn't been to work in fucking 5 years, and they caught him out in a boat in Staten Island fishing, pulling in a fucking great white. But you got a bad back. You're out there fucking being Jaws.
Yeah. It's really a problem. The disability stuff has a ton of fraud in it. It's an issue, and I didn't want to be part of that. And I would look. I never told a client to lie, even when you break down the stuff for the deposition. I wasn't as bad as maybe as I was making it out. But the truth is that these guys out there, there are guys out there that are really good personal injury attorneys that are trying to help people, and there are a lot of people out there that are they're just doing the wrong thing. And I just didn't want to be part of it. And then the truth is even if I was doing the right thing every single day, which I was, I just wanted to write.
We're going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.